Welcome back to another edition of Meet at the Tavern. In this episode, we'll answer a few questions from you, dig into Article 1, Sections 1, 2, and 3 of the United States Constitution. So go on our website on GoDaddy Sites, USCG National 2021, and download Article 1 so you can follow along. We'll also get into socialism and discuss why we feel there should be term limits for all our congressional representatives and state elected officers. We'll see you inside the tavern. So, Jack, I want to start off with something today that I read the other day. This got me pretty wound up, and I think it shows that we've hit an all-time low with our leaders. The Biden administration is planning to pay $86 million to house migrants in hotel rooms and feed them. While in Washington, D.C., our National Guard troops are sleeping in parking garages. They're being treated like dirt by these people who aren't even citizens getting the golden treatment. I can't believe this. I think we've hit an all-time low.
Yeah, we need the old elected officials in Washington, D.C. to really start growing up. And we don't think that's going to happen. So it's up to us, the people of this country, to take our government back from these unqualified hacks that do not know how to conduct the business of the day for the people of the United States. With all this that's going on, Biden's claiming he never said for illegal immigrants, which he doesn't call them illegal immigrants, but to come to America when he was campaigning. So I think he obviously said that every time he was on TV, running for president.
Yeah, I think he did too.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that we have to wonder why. Why are they doing this? I don't get it.
Well, here's a little important note about standing armies. The Founding Fathers did not trust standing armies. But they knew they couldn't trust peace, neither. So, and their experiences with standing armies were with monarchs who used their standing armies to oppress their people. So the Founding Fathers separated the powers over a standing army to Congress and the President. This would ensure that the U.S. military would serve the nation, not to subvert the rule of the people. So I have a question. Did Congress declare war on the American people without letting us know about it? The President is he commands the armed forces. He controls their operations. So why, Mr. President, is there a standing army around the Capitol building, sleeping in garages and using outhouses?
Yeah, these soldiers have been there year in and year out, not only for their communities, but they've been called into federal service for Afghanistan, Iraq. They've been all over. I mean, they go for a year at a time, 2 years off, 3 years off, then they go back. And so I heard some of them had to eat, they even got contaminated food while sleeping in these garages. I emailed Lindsey Graham and Tom Rice. And you should email your congressional leaders and show your displeasure for this too, because we shouldn't be paying $86 million to house people when our troops are sleeping in garages. I did hear back from Lindsey Graham, and I specifically asked him one question. Is this true? Is Biden spending $86 million to house these migrant people? You know what he wrote back to me?
Cookie cutter.
Yeah, he goes, thanks for your information on, immigration reform. I never talked about immigration reform. I asked one simple question. Is $86 million being spent? Did not answer it. And we've talked about this before on our podcast.
Comprehensive immigration reform.
They do not answer the question you ask them.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah, on top of what Dennis is saying about how the military is sleeping in a garage and using a porta potty for a bathroom, inside the same building, a few hundred yards away, our representatives have lush offices, cafeterias, gyms, locker rooms, showers, just a few hundred yards from where these people are sleeping in the garage. How are they more important than our service people? The people that are there to protect, well, they're protecting our politicians right now for some unknown reason, unknown war that they have against the American people. But how are they more important than these people sleeping out in the garage?
67% of the people believe we have a crisis on our border, and 53% say it was Biden has caused a crisis. I don't know if you saw this last week, but Vice President Harris laughed when she was going to go asked about going to the border. I don't know if it's funny. To me, it's not funny. We're giving these people our money, our hard-earned money. We're paying to keep these people to come here. We're paying them to come here, basically. But we can't get National Guard soldiers in hotel rooms. It's ridiculous.
So just to go off a little bit on that. Now, yesterday they had their first press conference. Ha ha ha. We're recording this on Friday. It'll go out Monday. So in his press conference, he emphatically told us that nobody's getting across the border. So who's going in these hotel rooms?
Maybe it's his cousins.
Nah.
Not his cousins.
They would own a hotel anyway. They wouldn't be staying in it.
When I looked at that press conference yesterday, whatever you want to call it, I could read off cards. That's all he did. He beat around the bush, like they all do. Trump did it, Bush did it, Clinton did it. I can read off a card, and I'm not a politician.
Well, he didn't even look up to see who he was calling on. He looked down on his notes.
And he says he wants to unite everybody. A couple news agencies he didn't talk about, he didn't ask questions for.
Yeah.
Fox News and OAN.
Newsmax.
And I think the New York Post.
Newsmax was there too.
Yep.
She was in the last chair on the left side. Behind the White House photographer.
And didn't even get asked the question.
So she had to look around. I think right then when she saw her chair, she realized she wasn't going to get questioned. What do you think?
She wasn't getting anything.
No.
You got to sit back and wonder why these politicians, what they're trying to accomplish, what they're trying to get through Congress, if we all focus on illegal immigration. Like H.R. 1, you've talked about that extensively, the Voting Rights Act. And they want to put this new $3 trillion Green New Deal in that they want passed. I can't see where they're getting all this money from. Eventually has to be paid back. Who's paying it back? If we don't wake up soon, it's going to be too late. I don't know what the answer is, but we need to stick together. We need to stand united to change the way things go, because we're lost. But Mike wanted to know, since Biden is allowing these migrants to come here illegally, does he think they will vote Democrat when they become citizens?
Biden, you mean?
That's what I meant, Biden.
Yeah. Here's my answer to Mike. No. I don't think they're going to be used as a voting bloc. I think they're going to be used as dividers in chaos. So as we, the people in the streets, are dividing once more through our elected officials' decisions, gives them an opportunity for more power grabs and changing our form of government.
I looked up citizenship eligibility requirements. In most cases, you must meet the following requirements before you can file an application. You must be a lawful permanent resident, green card holder. You must be at least 18 years old. You must show that you have continuously present in the U.S. for at least 5 years. You only need to have continuous present in the U.S. for 3 years if you're married to a U.S. citizen. You must show that you have lived for at least 3 months in the same state or district where you currently live. Please keep in mind, these requirements might vary depending on your personal circumstances and depending the reasons why you want to qualify you for U.S. citizenship. So basically, it takes about 5 years for most people to become citizens. You got to complete the citizen interview, got to pass the test, and then you got to attend the naturalization ceremony, and then you become a United States citizen, which is great. We want you here. But if they come through the border illegally, we don't know how long they've been here. They can say they've been here for 5 years. They might have been here for 30 days. We don't know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you need to consider.
Yeah, so here's the problem with the immigration policy standing today. I guess this is the comprehensive immigration plan that they've been talking about for the last 35 years. So it's supposed to take you about 5 years to become a citizen. So if one of these illegal immigrants come across the border with no ID and admitted into the country, they get to hang around for about 6 months. So 6 months later, they get a little guidance, and they see an attorney and tell the attorney that they want to become a citizen, and they've been here X amount of years. You know, I've been here for 3 years, but we don't know. We don't know this.
Right.
They were never identified upon the entry of this inside the border. I don't understand what Washington, D.C., how they don't see this as a problem. I mean, it seems pretty obvious. It's blaring right in your eyes. You need to be identified when crossing our borders to start your time frame legally into this country. You know, here's an example. That's a small example. Everybody's talking about, ID requirements. So the ID requirements in this country. So if you go to the Library of Congress, it requires the reader to have a card with a photo to check out a book that's not allowed to leave the premise. So you need a photo ID to read a book inside the building of the Library of Congress. Yet you can enter this country with an unknown time, unknown date, unknown person, whenever you want, go vote, no ID necessary.
That's kind of funny. Every place you go wants you to have an ID. Every place. But when we come to voting, don't worry about it. When you come into this country, what's your name? Can I see your... I don't have any proof. Okay, we'll see you later. I mean, I like to add to Mike's question and say there's really no way to predict which way they'll vote. But in a 2012 survey from Pew Research, found that among Latino immigrants who are not U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents, therefore unlikely unauthorized immigrants, 31% identify as Democrats and just 4% as Republicans. Another 33% politically independent, 16% mention another party, and 15% say they refuse or they don't want to answer the question, which is fine. It's up to them.
Yeah, well, I think it's funny that there's polls on this information.
Yeah.
Just tells us that the illegal immigrants were lied to also. I believe they were lied to also because I don't believe any politician in Washington, D.C. cares about their party affiliation. They're going to be brought into this country purely for disruption, just to disrupt this country so you can't see what's going on in the right hand while you're struggling with the left hand.
Yeah, again, we need to focus on what these legislators are doing, because what they're doing, they're trying to get something by, like that $3 trillion stimulus bill, whatever you want to call it.
Well, those two bills that are on our website, $3 trillion.
Hey, you know what else we got on our website now?
What's that?
We got a store.
Yeah, Mike told me we don't have any drinking glasses though.
There's a drinking glass there, Mike.
Yeah. You're fired, Mike.
What about the ice cubes?
No, there's no ice cubes there. We can look at that though. But we got a store. Check it out. Let us know. Give us your feedback. But Mike also had a question on the war on terrorism. Specifically, are we still at war? And do you think President Biden is using the war on terror to pass legislation because he feels we are at a state of war?
I tell you the truth, that's something I'll have to look into this week for the next podcast. To see if there's still a declaration of war, and if that declaration of war allows the president to pass laws on issues that are regarded to on these shores, or are they just strictly for the area with the declaration of war is said to be. Declaration of war gives the president of the United States a lot of power.
Sure does.
Yeah, we're going to have to check into this, but it's a good question and an important issue we need to put our time in and check for the answer and answer this in the correct way. Again, we don't have any staff and we have limited resources, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get your question answered, Mike. But most people think terrorism just started to happen when the World Trade Center was hit by the planes. I mean, terrorism is not something that's new. It's been around for ages. I mean, the U.S. and its allies.
It's been around for millenniums.
Yeah. They never let a crisis go to waste. We've said that before, The attacks on 9/11 played into their hands, and they played into our emotions, like I've said before. There's no doubt what happened that day was tragic. And as America, we needed to respond, and we did. But terrorism has been around for years and years. And the earliest known organizations that exhibited